The Diadora SESTRIERE-XT2 is engineered for maximum comfort on your daily trail running adventures. With the XT technology designed to give you excellent traction on gravel, grass, mud, and dirt, is the SESTRIERE-XT2 a shoe that you should consider for your next ultra marathon? Well, stay tuned to find out. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve, and I will let you know that Diadora did send the SESTRIERE-XT2 to me to review. They're not going to see this footage ahead of time. They are not telling me what to say. I'm going to give you my completely honest thoughts, just like always. Well, first, let's talk about the stats of the Diadora SESTRIERE-XT2. And from here on out, I'm just going to call it the XT2 because let's just face it, the name's kind of complicated for us American folk. XT2. It is a trail running shoe designed for kind of that cross-country varied terrain, and it's decently flexible. There's a bit of movement through this. And for the stack height, the men's shoe came in at 35 millimeters in the rear and 30 millimeters in the front for a 5 millimeter drop. While this isn't necessarily a maximal cushion shoe when we think of those 40 millimeter stack heights, this is still quite a beefy shoe. And my men's size 11 here weighed in at 12.8 ounces or 364 grams. And there's no really other way to say this. It is a heavy shoe for sure, which we will talk about more in just a moment. But for the fit, my men's size 11 fit just like all other shoes in size 11. So whatever your normal size is, you should be good to order that. The upper of the XT2 is a nylon air mesh material with quite a few overlays over this shoe to give it some support and structure. As for the breathability of the air mesh material, let's take a look at the tissue test. When I put that hair dryer on low, you can see the tissue came up a decent amount. It went up, showing some breathability. When I switched it to high, you could see that tissue really came up very quickly. Almost came out of the shoe, showing it was really pretty darn breathable. I gotta say, when wearing the shoe, I could feel some airflow, but it did feel a little bit warmer. Of course, I wore these on quite a hot day, but I think, with the amount of overlays on here, I could still feel a little airflow, let's just say that. Now, I also really wanted to test the water drainability of this upper as well, so I completely submerged my feet for at least a minute to really let that water soak in. When I stepped out, you can see the water draining out pretty well above the overlays. However, you can see the overlays do inhibit the drainability a little bit. With that said though, overall, I was still pretty happy with the way this shoe drained. The toe box of the XT2 is decent. It's not wide, it's just kind of decent. Now with that said, I did not have any rubbing or hot spots on my toes. However, I will say that the fit was different than some other shoes. It did feel more snug over the overall forefoot, but again, I still didn't really have any rubbing. Now, I already mentioned the overlays a little bit, but you can see there's actually 2 layers of overlay at the front here. There's this thicker, almost feels like a suede material, but it is a TPU overlay. And then below that, there is almost a translucent overlay that comes up a little bit higher as well. And then in the front, of course, there is a toe bumper here as well to protect your foot from any rock impacts you may have, or maybe you smack it on a tree root. The midfoot of the XT2 is, again, decent. It's not wide, it's not tight. I didn't have any pinching, hot spots, or rubbing. However, just the overall entire fit of this shoe from front to the rear, which we'll talk about in just a moment, overall felt more snug than some shoes, most shoes, if I'm honest, that I have tested. But again, still no hot spots. The tongue of the XT2 is pretty thin, but it also has some padding to help protect the top of your foot. I did notice there seems to be quite a lot of this tongue material, and as I cinched this lacing system down, that tongue material kind of buckled up a little bit. It didn't really cause any issues on my run, but if I was going a very long time, I could see that possibly causing an issue for someone with a foot width that is similar to mine. The tongue is also fully gusseted on both sides, and that's really going to help keep debris out of the shoe. The lacing system does a good job. It stays tied. The laces are the lay flat type, and yeah, they do what they're supposed to do. And also I want to know, around the lacing system, the eyelets, there is another translucent, pretty thick overlay as well for more structure and support. Moving around to the rear of the shoe and the heel collar here, it is pretty darn padded. It's more on that plush side, I would say. As for the fit and feel overall of the heel collar, again, it was more snug. Like I mentioned, we're getting a theme here, but it felt very secure. I didn't have any heel slippage at all. No real Achilles rubbing or discomfort either from this kind of Achilles flare at the back. However, when I push down on the padding on the inside here, I can definitely feel a very stiff part of the internal parts of that collar here where it feels like it's a harder plastic inside to give that support. I didn't feel it running, but I just want to bring that up because as this padding kind of wears over time, I could see that maybe rubbing a little bit, but it's there's a lot of padding here, so it would take a while to get to that. The padding level of this upper, all of the overlays for support and structure really make the XT2 feel more like a very dedicated hiking shoe rather than a streamlined trail running shoe, in my opinion. The upper does feel like it's going to be very durable, but with all of this extra padding and comfort and structure, it adds weight. It's 12.8 ounces. It is heavy for sure. It's a beefy shoe. The midsole of the XT2 is Diadora's Anima technology, which is claimed to increase midsole responsiveness by 30% compared to regular EVA. However, at the same time, that midsole weight is supposed to be reduced by about 20% for lighter steps and longer runs. Now, Diadora claims this Anima midsole has a reactivity level, or let's think responsiveness, of about 60%, but we'll see if that's true. There is also a removable insole inside called the Diadativo. That's probably how you say it, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it is a high density foam, fully ventilated with a high shock absorption, and it is supposed to be breathable as well. And it's supposed to minimize heat transfer basically to your foot, help it stay a little bit cooler. And there is some antibacterial elements in there as well to help reduce odor. Now, the Diadativo insole is claimed to be very lightweight, also reduce fatigue over those longer runs and help you to have longer, more enjoyable runs on the trails. Now, all of that sounds pretty amazing on paper, but to be honest, my experience running in them was quite different. Honestly, I actually only ran in these, I think 1, maybe 2 times, and that was enough for me to know that I was not going to be using the shoe anymore as a trail running shoe. The midsole just did not feel responsive at all, in my opinion, and it did not feel like a shoe that I wanted to run in. With that said, it did feel like a midsole that would have plenty of cushioning for long days hiking in the mountains. This Anima midsole here is claimed to be lightweight and responsive. Again, it just felt flat and dead underfoot. There was cushioning there, just really felt flat. There was no responsiveness to it, in my opinion. And it felt heavy. It felt heavy underfoot. I could feel it when running. There was a time where I actually got quite a bit of mud clumped up. You can still see some remnants of it right now. And the shoe was just very, very heavy when trying to run. So overall, not the best trail running midsole, in my opinion, but this would probably be right at home hiking up some 14ers or mountainous terrain with lots of rocks. It's going to protect your foot, so it's going to be a great hiking option. The outsole, the XT2, is a dual density material. There's 2 different types of foam. In the front, there is a softer rubber, and then there's a special Duratec 5000 wear-resistant compound across the entire foot area. Now, what was neat is this XT technology in the outsole here is really designed to replicate the ibex hoof anatomy. Now, if you're not familiar, the ibex is the animal that's seen all over, the internet, climbing up very, very steep, basically vertical dams or things. It's crazy. So it's designed to mimic and replicate that shape. Basically a hard rubber on the lateral sides to provide stability and grip, and then high grip, soft rubber in the center. And that lug design really does mimic the V kind of shape of those ibex hooves. Hoofs? I don't know. The outsole is really aggressive and offers great traction over a variety of surfaces. On my run, it was mostly hard-packed dirt trails, maybe some rocks in there as well. I mean, there was that one section of mud I mentioned where it kind of clumped up to it. But overall, the grip was pretty darn good from this XT kind of Duratec technology. Now, I gotta say, there is quite a lot of rubber on this outsole here. I would wager these are about probably a 4.5 to 5 millimeter lug depth, but there's a lot of rubber, and that really adds to that weight. Like we talked about, it is a heavy shoe, but I think it is probably going to wear pretty well if you are going to be hiking with this shoe. This might be a good option for a very long hike. Well, the Diadora SESTRIERE-XT retails for $170 US, which seems to be on par for other shoes in this kind of hybrid hiking shoe type segment. Well, the bottom line of the XT2 is this seems to be a shoe designed to really protect your foot in those long days in the mountains. In my opinion, this would be a great shoe for those doing very long hikes. Maybe you're through hiking a long trail or you're summiting 14ers. However, I do not think this would be a good shoe for trail running, and certainly not ultra running. It's just entirely too heavy. It feels heavy underfoot. And yeah, it's just great for hiking, not for running. But I'm curious, have you tried the Diadora SESTRIERE-XT2? What did you think of it? Have you used it as a trail runner or an ultramarathon shoe? Or have you hiked in the shoe? What did you think of the grip and the overall fit and feel? Let us know below in the comments. I'm sure everybody else would like to see your thoughts as well. Well, if you are looking for a dedicated shoe for trail running, a great option is going to be a shoe I reviewed recently called the Mountain Coast T1. Take a look at the full review on your screen right over there. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to Diadora for sending the SESTRIERE-XT2. I appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next one.